Alright, so over the past few days I've been able to play a few games with some Grandchamps and have been watching a lot of high level gameplay in my spare time. Of course, I have been getting thrashed in these games, but then once I went back into my own games at my own rank, I saw a considerable difference. Now, I'm a high champ 1 to low champ 2 player at the moment, but even still the difference between how I was playing and how the Grandchamps were playing is huge. The videos you are seeing are 2 of my games from after I played with Grandchamps, so you can see the kind of playstyle I have. Before we start though, there are some things that you'll have all heard, like spend time in free play every day, don't ball chase, and watch high level gameplay. And yes, you should, I completely agree with all of this. I didn't want to leave it out, but I didn't want to dedicate time in this video into it because you hear them in every single video. So now, let's get right into 5 things you can do to hit Grandchamp in Rocket League. Starting off with number 1, write down key aspects of the game. And yes, I really do mean getting a piece of paper and keeping it near you while gaming. And that may sound really strange to some of you, but let me explain. When you write down things like stop boosting all the time and play more defensive, and you keep it next to you in sight while you play, it acts as a constant reminder to keep you under check. You can glance over and keep yourself in line by personalizing your list. For example, my list has stop boosting, play more defensive because I have a tendency to ball chase and play quite aggressively. I also have use camera more because I find myself not tracking the other players as well as I could using the right analog stick. A good way to compile your list, personally, would be to play a few games and save them. Then anytime in the game or in the replay you see yourself make the same mistake a few times, write it down so that you can work at getting rid of it. It can't even be just one word, just as long as you have something there to constantly remind you what you need to keep working on. Having that constant reminder will refresh your mind every time something happens in the game. If there's a goal that you score, your opponent score, and you maybe get a bit tilted, having something to look over and to reset your mind with is going to help you improve tenfold. I know you still might be a bit unsure, but at least try it out a bit. It's a strange concept, but it has helped me improve in Rocket League and many other games. Tip number 2 is staying low in 50-50s. The problem that I see a lot of people have in ones especially, but also other game modes, is that losing one 50-50 can lead to getting scored against. One of the simpler ways you can stop this is staying low in a 50-50 challenge. By not completely flipping into the ball every time there's a challenge, you can get a much faster recovery than your opponent and potentially send them flying off of the ball in the contact. Another way to win these challenges is to have the ball on the windshield of your car as you drive towards the defender, and just as they begin to jump to stop the potential flick, you drop the ball in front of you and challenge with a low 50-50. Because the defender is already committed to a high challenge, they are likely to hit the top of the ball while you're hitting the center, which should push the ball straight through the defense, leaving them flailing in the air behind you. Tip number 3 is slow down. I know that the higher up the ranks you get, the faster the games become, because everyone is so used to challenging mid-air and going off the wall, but those are also some of the most dangerous times to challenge. You don't need to prove you can pull this stuff off all the time. This tip was one of the first things I got pulled up on. As long as you slow yourself down and look at what's happening, you make the game much easier for yourself. Position properly with your teammate, give them space, realizing when you aren't going to get to the ball first and rotate back. If you have any doubt you're going to get to the ball first, it isn't worth going for, because the hesitation is what's going to get you scored against. The reason you see so many pro players playing as fast as they can with so little errors is because they have the time invested in the game to understand when to challenge and when to hold back. They know that they could get to that ball first and they might hit it first, but it is better for them and their team to instead rotate back around and get into a defensive position than losing a player downfield after missing the ball. Another thing to add to this is that you don't need to use fancy mechanics to win games. Ceiling shots and flip resets and air dribbles are nice to watch and show that you've practiced hard to get them down, but seeing as the risk is so high, why would you commit to a shot like that when you can take the ball down and get consistent ground shots while also having a faster recovery? For the sake of your team, it's not worth putting you out of position and potentially losing you upfield with no boost just because it would have looked good. My last thing to add to this point is that the majority of your aerials should be defensive. Going up to stop the opponent from getting a clean shot or pass is a much better use of your boost than going up all the time to take a shot. Like I said earlier, ground shots and faster recoveries will do you better in the long run than trying to hit redirects all game. That being said, if the ball is falling in front of an open net, then I shouldn't have to explain you should be going for that. Number 4. Use more bumps. If you find yourself upfield without the ball and your teammate isn't looking for a pass for whatever reason, you are essentially leaving your net wide open for a counter attack. The best thing to do in this situation is to try and get a bump as you make your way back behind your teammate. Bumping does a few things. Of course, it puts the opponent out of position and can lead to a very easy shot for your teammate, but it can also get your opponent tilted. Now, we all know how annoying it is when you get constantly bumped in a game and you're not able to stop easy goals. So use it to your advantage. You may get called every name under the sun, but if you want to win games, why hold back? Lastly, number 5. Stop challenging in the opponent's corner. I have mentioned this one before in one of my 1v1 tip videos, but it applies to all game modes. Instead of challenging the opponent in their corner, you should be trying to steal boost and rotating back around. Challenging in the corner will 9 times out of 10 lead to the ball bouncing off of the wall in front of you and landing behind you, giving the opponent an easy ball to follow up on and leaving your teammate in a 2v1. The smarter move for you to do is to steal the boost and then use the knowledge that they will be low on boost to predict their movement. If you see that they're moving towards the smaller pads for boost, you can quickly get into a shadowing position to force them to make an early move, or if they push towards the bigger boost pads on the midway point, you can easily take it before they get there. Lastly, a small bonus tip that links to the last one is to watch the opponent and predict their movement and not the ball's. If you can judge how a player will move and react, then you can stay on top of them the whole time and force them to make mistakes in their offense. This will lead to easier goals, more open net chances, and a much easier time ranking up. So, those are my 5 or 6-ish tips for getting to Grandchamp, or just ranking up in general really. These tips can be used at all levels of the game, and the sooner you start using them, the sooner you'll see improvement in your gameplay. I hope you all enjoyed the video today. Please let me know which of these tips were your favorite and if they have helped you in any way. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can get notified whenever a new video comes out. And I have many more tutorials in the works at the moment, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's all from me. Peace.